Hey everyone, welcome to my first video, an EverCraft online guide. I'll be doing my best to give you my take on each of the 16 classes so that you can make a more informed decision on how to spend your time during the next alpha test. Now, we'll be touching on what makes each class unique, as well as my predictions on what you can expect while traveling around the world and leveling through solo or group content. Some general notes to start. All caster classes have the ability to phase, which is to bind themselves to a safe location and return there at will. All healer classes have the ability to resurrect fallen allies. When I note splitting, this refers to a class's ability to single off enemies so that their group can take them down one at a time. When I note speed boost, it refers to a class's ability to cast a buff on themselves or allies that increases their movement speed around the world. I've noted that melee classes tend to get extra value when fighting stronger single enemies, since they have no spells to be resisted, but some of the strongest leveling groups currently seem to be optimized around area effect. Very subject to change, this is just alpha, but I wanted to note it regardless. Here's a graphic provided by the development team on how they expect each class to stack up to one another in regards to tankiness, damage, healing, control, and utility. With that out of the way, our first class is the Beast Lord, a high damage class that wields primal forces. You travel around and befriend creatures throughout the world. High single target damage. They can do healing and a unique group heal centered around your beast. You have plenty to do, but without some buffs from other players, it may be difficult to really use your whole kit all the time. Next is the Cleric, our celestial spellcaster. Low damage, unless you're fighting undead. They have exceptional group healing and nice armor class, hit point buffs, and they even have an item that they can summon that allows their allies to resurrect you. Druid, this is our nature spellcaster, one of the most popular classes. Medium damage and surprisingly even AoE that the other healers lack. They have low mitigation, but tons of tools to get out of that in the way of roots and snares, a lot of different ways to damage. Fantastic utility in offensive buffs as well. They can also create portals to different places around the world. Enchanter, our beguiling spellcaster. Myriad of stuns and charm effects that force enemies to attack each other. A great haste buff that your groups are going to love, and illusions, which is a way to fool other NPCs into thinking you look like another race. And in a game like EverCraft Online, where there's factions and things, that really goes far sometimes. Next is Magician, elemental pet class with the ability to change pets to fit their situation. High single target damage, and the ability to conjure items such as arrows, food, bags, and other items that we don't really know the full interaction with yet. Monk, this is a strong physical damage class that seems to be still finding its identity within ECO. Light self-healing, a strong puller, and even with their kit currently, it feels like they may be a class that will scale well with gear, but that's still TBD. Necromancer, this is our third most popular class. Dark art spellcaster with skeleton pet, great self-healing and self-buffs, but I'm a little bit worried that when they get into a larger group setting, that all their abilities won't be able to be used as fully. Paladin, our holy warrior. Low damage, that gets a nice early boost from completing the Paladin class quest in Leont. They have a unique area of effect threat generator. They have plain chance and other buffs that greatly increase the group's offensive abilities. Although only a couple bullet points here, I'm thinking that the Paladin is probably the overall most desired tank currently. They lack a little bit of the damage you'll see in some of the other classes, but yeah, fantastic in groups. Next is the Ranger, physical class with an attunement to nature. Strong damage in the hands of a skilled player. I won't dive into that now, but you have a lot of options. with this one. Likely the best polar on release, and some of their abilities are boosted in potency if you use them at the right time of day. So that's kind of a cool one. Next is your Rogue, stealthy melee class, exceptional physical damage when able to backstab. So just find a friend, ideally. They have a fun stealth damage vanish playstyle that could be pretty cool. They really shine when they're able to exercise their whole toolkit, the things you see on the right, lockpick, disarm trap, steal. But I can't help but feel like they still have a little bit of work to do on this class, which is fine at this stage, clearly. Next is our Shadow Knight, second most popular class. They're a tank-wielding mastery over death. Strong mitigation and damage. Their playstyle doesn't alter too much when you go from tanking to damage rolls. They have a nice Traces of Darkness into lifesteal combo that helps them mitigate a decent amount of damage, and they especially like stamina buffs, as well as when they're hasted, they can get even more out of that lifesteal. Next is our Shaman, a mystic spellcaster. They have a strong absorb heal, so you can even pair them with other healers, and they'll do just fine. They have medium damage, I suppose, when they interact properly with their curses on a target, as well as the melee attack that's boosted by curses. They have exceptional offensive buffs, similar to the Druid, but maybe less utility. Very, very strong in small group content. They have the ability as well to commune, which is transfer life to mana. Next is the Warrior, tank with mastery over the art of warfare. Now, when they're in their defensive stance, they have the highest mitigation. And when not in tank stance, I'd say they have a surprisingly good damage kit. So, yeah, really spending their resources on either single target or area of effect. You can really put in a lot of work, especially when you're buffed by like stamina buffs and other things. Scaling pretty well here, it seems. Next is our War Wizard, tank blending the art of sword and sorcery. Now, they're a decent tank, but they really have very strong single target and area effect damage at will. The player, though, must decide between which imbue they use on their weapon, as well as any given time, if you're going to spend the resources on healing, defense, or offensive magic. They have a mana return mechanic called Flux, where they cast it on an enemy, they get the last hit on that enemy, and they get mana back based on the maximum health pool of that enemy. I will note that they seem like the only caster class. They are a tank, tier as well, but they don't get the phase ability. Next is our Wizard. This is a spellcaster with strong evocations. Like the War Wizard, very strong, probably stronger. Single target and area effect magic. They also have the Flux mechanic, and running that mini game, getting the last hit, seemed like pretty fun to me. Throughout solo and group play. Every group is going to want you, though, especially for your Clear Mind buff. This thing increases mana regen, and you'll be sorely missed once they get a taste. So now you're also able to create portals like the Druid to different places around the world. Our last class is the Bard. Now, this class was not available on previous pre-alphas, and expect it to be very popular once it does become available. Solo capabilities are a complete mystery, but like the Enchanter, we expect them to excel in group content. So that's it, and I'll reiterate that these are all just my opinions. This is only alpha, but hopefully I shine some light on things you may not have thought about otherwise. And I wanted to give a big thank you to the community for all their help, and thank you for watching. Have a good one.